that to a very large degree, you learn these skills in modern education. Modern education is a problem. It's trying to adapt and change, but it's not adapting and changing soon enough. And I understand that this is an issue right here in Hungary. You know, and let's start with the first problem. They use the banking model of education. There's knowledge, the professor has the knowledge, you're the bank, the professor puts the knowledge into you, then you take a test, you show the knowledge back on the test, and boom, there, you get a grade, you're smart. That's not smart. That means you can memorize stuff, not that you can use it, not that you understand how it's important. It's so passive. You never learn to use the knowledge creatively. I learned this in debate training. I go, well, if you're building a case, you should do this, 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 and this. And if I give them a test, they will answer those things very well. But if I say, now build a case, they'll do like 2 of them, or 2.5 of them. Because we're not used to actually putting our knowledge into practice. Right? Which debate forces you to do. You have to actually do it. It's active. It's one of the most active methods of learning I know of. Also, in most university systems, the professor is the unquestioned authority. Many of you maybe have had the problem of where you asked too many questions of your professor, and they don't like that, especially if they don't know the answer, then you're really in trouble. And many times our education systems are designed to prepare you for the past. Right? So many professors take their knowledge, they teach the same thing over a 20-year period, a 25-year period, and then retire. So you get the same thing. Meanwhile, the world is changing. Things are different. Change is happening faster now than ever. And in the 21st century, it will change faster. And it's all interrelated in a vast global system. You might understand what's going on in your village or your town or your country, but you may not understand how that relates to what's going on in the rest of the world. Decisions made in places like Qatar now influence you quite a bit because they control 1/3 of the world's natural gas. So whether you like it or not, their decisions are going to influence you. You need to understand that the world is one interconnected whole. Who cares if they chop down the Amazon rainforest? Well, the Amazon rainforest produces 26% of the Earth's oxygen. We're going to all need that. That's going to make a difference. You need to understand that. And finally, so much of the persuasion that surrounds us is completely illogical. If you use this product, you'll get sex. I mean, who would ever fool millions of fools believe that? When we know that's not how you decide to have sex or not. Oh, you're using a certain deodorant? Let's go. That's not how it happens. Now, too often, our sisters are the victim of this. There's this deodorant in America called Axe, and the commercial's like this. This ugly guy sprays it on him, and all these gorgeous women jump on him. What an insult to women. Incredible insult to women. Right? And so, you see through this when you're involved in debating. So I want to talk about the academic benefits of debating first. And I think debating fights against all those things I just talked about. Right? It's active, you question authority, you have to adapt to rapid change, you have to debate about global issues, and you love it when your opponents say things that are non-logical, because it's easy for you to disprove them. First thing I want to talk about is debating in the classroom. And I know there's not a lot of this going on in Hungary, but there's really, all across the world, people are adopting more and more active methods for education, and debate is one of the most successful. So I want to tell you a little story. There's a school in Providence, Rhode Island. this guy who was there, very interested, came to one of my seminars. He was the headmaster or the principal of the school. And he says, you know, I think we should use debate in our classroom. Now, because he was the boss, he could do this. He divided the school into 3 groups. Group A has lots of debate in the classroom as a way of learning. Group B, a little bit. Group C, none. So in 2003, they did a baseline test to determine what all these groups knew and how they were performing academically. Then after the first year of the program, the people with lots of debate achieved more than those who had some debate in the classroom, and much more than people who had none. Then in 2005, the people with a lot of debate in the classroom achieved a lot more than the people with some, and the people with no debate in the classroom actually lost ground. They went backwards. Then in 2006, a group of parents whose students were in Group C, no debate, came to the principal and said, we're not going to put up with this anymore. You have valuable instructional techniques that could help our children, and you're not giving it to them. So they said, okay, end of experiment. Because he just couldn't continue to do that with those children. Now, one of my colleagues, Sam Greenland, did a study in Hong Kong about teaching people to debate, just teaching people to debate, and then how did they do in their classes. So they had over 1,000 students were in this study. They discovered substantial increases in academic performance at every level by the students who were involved in debate. One of the theories at the time was that men are better at debating than women. Oh, we are so disproving that. Right? And what they discovered is both men and women benefited from debate performance equally. Also, there was this idea of, debates for the skilled students, for the elite, for the better students. Not true. It helped the less academically able students more than the academically more able students. So students of lower levels of academic performance improved more than the others. So the other theory was, well, it's about their language expertise. If they're better at language, and likewise the same result, it was shown that people who don't have advanced language skills developed them through debate and improved all their language skills just as much. Because when you debate, you use the language that you have. And then you grow and develop. So it's not like, if you can't talk at all, it's hard to debate. But everybody can talk some, and you start debating, and you learn. Here are some studies from high school. They did a big study in Minnesota comparing high school students that debated and high school students that didn't. Right? Debaters improved their reading score 36% after 2 years of debating. They were 61% ahead of those who did not debate. But wait, there's more. As they say on the TV ads, but wait, there's more. Afterwards, 80% of debaters had excellent attendance records. They went to school. And as you may know, in the United States, there are a lot of kids that don't necessarily show up every day. And but only 49% of the non-debaters had excellent attendance records. So they went to school more. There was they gave them a self-esteem test. How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel good about yourself? Debaters had 15% higher self-esteem than non-debaters. Because you feel better about yourself, right? I can stand up, I influence people, I deal with difficult situations. Yeah, I'm okay. And as many of you may know, self-esteem or self-expectation has a lot to do with education. If you think you're stupid, you end up stupid. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. There was also a huge reduction in risky behaviors. People who started behaving were far less likely to engage in unprotected sex, drug use, and alcohol abuse. They just started applying critical thinking to their lives. I didn't say they didn't have sex. I said they didn't have unprotected sex. Now, there's some idea that there are some populations that just can't do it. And so probably the lowest achieving population group in America are African Americans who go to inner city schools. Part of this is because their schools are terrible. Right? It's not like you have national schools here. We have each community has different schools. So if you have a poor community, they don't have as much money to invest. So the study in Chicago, and the worst are African American males, right? Because there's kind of a cultural thing that it's not cool to be into school, right? School's not cool. You want to be rough and tumble, and I don't need those book stuff, right? So graduation rates among African American students in Chicago, 50% from high school. Only half of them graduated. But students who had done 1 year of debating, 75%. Okay? And the group that improved the most were African American males. They can do it, you just have to give them the tools and the skills to do it. And debate helped to do that. And one of my colleagues, Kate Schuster, hope you're out there, Kate, says, we need studies, we don't have good studies. Well, we have good studies now. And they show that the debate is a fabulous way to try to educate people better. Okay, so education, academic achievement, debate helps that. But wait, there's more. Okay, what am I going to do after university? Right? Am I going to get into business? Will I get a job? Okay, here the studies I'm going to talk to you about are look at oral communication skills. I think you can see how debating helps you build your oral communication skills. Now, I've been following this for about 20 years, and some things are very consistent. When you ask employers, especially personnel offices in major corporations, what's the biggest weakness of people applying to you for jobs, they always say, number one, biggest weakness, bad oral communication skills. They're afraid to speak. They don't know how to speak. They don't have practice in speaking. And if you're doing business and a job, you need to work with people, right? Working on the assembly line is something in the past. Machines are going to do that now. 3D printing is going to replace all of that. Right? Within 15 to 20 years, 3D printing will make most of our stuff.